Good morning. I am doing well. How are you doing? I hope you're doing super well because we have an ability to spend some time together in a positive light versus our doom scroll because there could be negative things that we don't see anymore because we're so focused on making our world slightly better, making our world great, making our life noticeably better. Things I used to think. This video is on stuff that I used to think that I now have adjusted where we can be compadre, we can be cohorts, where I can learn from you as much as you learn from me in a knowledge exchange. I used to think that staying abreast of news was very important, understanding current events. I no longer think that. I think that making news in my own life is what matters. What news am I making in my life? Connecting with you guys, connecting with Web 2 the way that the social web was supposed to work. How's the social web supposed to work? It's not supposed to work as a doom scroll algorithm that messes up your brain. That's not. What if we got dopamine from you learning and then I'm learning from you as I listen to your comments? I wish you could just scream into the screen and say, hey, I hate that. I love that. These are my thoughts. I wish you could scream into your screen or at least talk into your screen. And this is what makes these feeds, this social media influencer content different. Is I yearn for not feedback. I yearn for energy. Energy flow positive, video to video. I yearn for time. Time flow positive. Like, what if you got paid a nickel for every YouTube video that you watched? What if we didn't send messages that were held for a review? Oh, not so bad. Jared Farah says, hi. Things I used to think, making news. Am I talking about making news in the New York Times or Wall Street Journal? Actually, yes. But it just needs to be small and positive because later on, you'll get a positive thing, just like Bill Cook with the T app. What's the T app? It's just hit 2 million downloads where the founder came up with a concept of T. What is T? It's a dating report. It's a dating report. It's a dating report similar to a credit report. Jared Faki says, I'm a new one. Liked. I'm new too. I'm new also. What am I new to? I'm new to the fact that thedatingreport.com now has a terrific sequel company called T, like green tea tea. What is it? It's a dating report for people to file reports on people that they've dated. And this is hallelujah good news. Why? Because we're literally making good news while we date people to people. So T is a dating app. And what happens is when you're a great guy and you're really good at sex, there's a really good dating report written on you, Larry Chang. Hungary has entered the chat. Hungary has entered the chat. I used to think that cheesy jokes, such as "I'm hungry too," were cheesy. And then I would scoff at the person making the dumb joke. Dad joke. Not dad, but just a joke. Jokes are meant to connotate friendship and friendliness. It doesn't necessarily need to be the most funny thing that a person's ever heard. I used to think that sales as a skill was hard or not for me. That's what I used to definitely think. I used to definitely think sales, oh no, I don't need to do that. I used to think that. Now I think everyone should do it, not because I tortured myself, but because it's so useful in doing business. It's so useful in persuasion. What's distracting? The haze is distracting, Hays. So I used to think that I needed the sound quality of a video that I watched to be perfect, or I needed the video quality to be perfect. This is what I used to think. I used to think that everything needed to be perfect. I used to think everything needed to be perfect in order for me to benefit. Now, because I cook food and I'll eat my own mistakes, I don't need everything to be perfect when other people do it, and I definitely don't need things to be perfect the way that I do it, which leads actually to perfection because practice now becomes a near perfection. But if I initially was trying to be perfect and so analytical that I wouldn't try to practice, that would mess me up. So now when I see imperfection in other people, oh, your screen's flipped. Oh, I can't listen to a person with a cowboy hat. Or, oh, you're too tall and Caucasian for a Chinese person. Like, what? What? No. But then now I understand and I commiserate with people that are maybe coming across new content for the first time. I used to think that people who I used to be judgmental. My goodness. Did this video just become super real? Jung Chao says best Chinese versus American food. Do you want me to do something with that? Hello, hope you're doing well. I got a ding dong stuck in ice in some fridge. Any tips? Here's a tip: throw away the ice and throw away the ding dong. I used to think that snack food was delicious. Ding dongs, ho hos. I used to think that those things were delicious. Now, I still think that they're delicious, but what I do instead is I don't eat it. I used to think that Twinkies were amazing. I mean, the soft, spongy dough, it's like a cream filled donut preserved until the end of time. I used to think that sugar was funny to eat because my parents wouldn't let me eat it. I mean, they would let me eat it. They would just be like, "Hey, kind of go slow on it." And then I would eat so much of it that my friends would be impressed, be like, I've never seen a person put away 20 cookies. What ended up happening was an epiphany where I believed the anti-sugar hype. Zach Lee says hello. Melody 808 says anyone needs a little ding dong. Oh, everyone. That's so true. That's so true. And this is what I used to think. I used to think that if I had a box of food, that I would just eat it. And then now I've wired my own brain to just eat one because there's a commercial. It challenges me to, I bet you can't eat just one. And I was thinking, do I want to be in the future that fat girl who eats an entire bag? Or do I want to be the unstoppable stud who eats one, puts it on his desk, and then never touches it until tomorrow or Friday to then eat one more next Friday? And then have people walk by my desk and be like, are you going to eat all those? Brother, let's go to a party and hang. Sure. I used to think, oh, I have a juicy one. I have a juicy one. I have a juicy one. I used to think that my friend, MC Hammer, was crazy telling me that certain rappers were gay. And then my friend would tell me, hey, don't go to that cool rapper party that you got invited to. There's a hilarious picture of me and MC Hammer at a tech party. He's actually really smart. And no, he's no longer bankrupt. I used to think that all rappers went bankrupt because Hammer went bankrupt. And then I realized that Hammer mentored me on money by saying money missed is not missed money. Hammer. Hammer time. Hammer time. I used to think that money missed was money lost, whereas money missed is not missed money. Hammer. Did I introduce him to Chameleonaire? Yes. Can we focus? Can we focus? Can we focus? I used to think that all guys who wore hats were bald. I used to think that. Now I severely question other people who used to think what I thought, because it doesn't matter if they are bald underneath their hat. What you should instead do is focus on the genius stuff that's coming out of people's mouths. I used to think that VC was sexy. I used to think that venture capital was very sexy. It's not sexy at all. It's the worst performing asset class, venture capital. Hot girls. I used to think that hot girls were super, super horny. I still think that. I never thought that hot girls were arrogant. How people interact with a hot person of the opposite sex is indicative of their own brain functionality. Tomb says, I wear hats because I'm lazy to style if I don't care. I used to think styling my hair would take 3 seconds. I was wrong. I was very wrong. Styling your hair should take 1 second. I used to think that people who cut hair wanted to just fondle hair. It's actually kind of true. Do I want to cut girl hair? Yeah, actually, I kind of want to cut female hair. How hard could it be, right? You just look at the person and they're like, okay, what would make your head hot? I used to think that cutting girl hair was impossible. Not that I've tried to cut hair, not that I've tried to cut hair. Hot girls. Oh, here's a doozy. You want to have a person cut your hair that's cheerleading for you to look better. You don't want a person who cuts your hair that secretly wants you to be ugly or is somehow messed up, because it's like a person taking care of plants. If they secretly hate plants or don't want you to have a good indoor aesthetic, then that person isn't going to be for you. I used to think that people that would drop Jesus Christ spam were annoying. I don't think they're annoying. I think that sometimes people who go live stream to live stream posting my mentor's shout out, Jesus, just weren't very good at ministry. What I now think is I think it's a robot who can't listen and then just wants to call attention for themselves by getting yelled at for posting Jesus spam, where it's technically not spam because technically it's ministry work. But then I love Jesus, so when I see it, I don't see it as spam. But other people would see it as spam and then would not like Jesus as much if they already didn't believe. It's like dropping baseball fan content in the midst of nothing. We all have a friend like that. We all have a friend like that who's like, "Oh, did you slay that slam dunk yesterday? Hey, do you slam dunk?" And you're like, we're talking about venture capital. We're talking about hot girls. We're talking about sports cars." Because I used to think that sports cars were amazing. And then I had a goal. I want to get a really good job and I want to buy a sports car. And then I started a company and I made so much money that I could buy 30 sports cars. And then I looked at the reason that rich people died. It was always in a sports car. So I'm like, hey, now that I'm rich, maybe I shouldn't get a sports car, because sports car, motorcycle, like these are the only ways that rich people die, is in a sports car or is on their super fast racing motorcycle. I used to think that I'm going to get married and live a happy life. Bye bye, just got here. That's the username. But I know a thing or two about company that sabotages you. Oh, yeah. I used to think that companies would reward people that help the company make money. I used to think that. And it's the most easy thing to think. I sold so much chemical. Oh, back to point number one. I sold so much chemical for a Fortune 100 company that they ended up screwing me on my commission. How did I get into sales? Instead of going into the sob story, going into the winning component, which is I used to think that sales was not something I needed to do because it was just so outside of the realm of what Chinese people do. That I ended up listening to my mentor, Mark McCormack, say sales, it's an incredibly useful skill. So I took that knowledge after my freshman year in engineering school and I sold advertising for the Daily Illini for my sales manager named Debbie. And I rode my scooter around selling advertising to off campus. That was my territory. It was everything off campus. And initially I was like, because I thought I wanted to sell advertising on campus, right? That's what you would think. It turns out the benefit was selling advertising off campus because it was more territory that prior student sales reps wouldn't go to. So it was a green field. I used to think that thank you notes were useful. I still think that thank you notes are useful. Is this my new friend? Is this my new friend? Is this my new friend? His name is Hecklefish. He talks a little bit. Well, sometimes talks. Hecklefish, will you say something?
I will be a strict but fair lord of these lands, and my serfs will come to idolize me.
Well, someone's incredibly confident. That's good to see. What about you guys? What are things that you used to think that you used to think? Things that you used to think.
Yahtzee!
I agree. Yahtzee. Let's celebrate the win by keeping on going. Melody 808 says, "Peace out, party peeps." Melody, have a terrific day. I used to think I'm going to get married and live a happy life. I used to think business school was just a place to go get married. I used to think that business school was impossible to get into. I used to think that, to finish that thought, business school, right? Super competitive to get into. It's actually not. Business school. Why do you want to go? It's a valid question. Do you know the classes you want to go to? Most people don't. When they say, "Hey, Larry, I saw your affiliations with the colleges. Can you write me a recommendation letter? Where do you want to go? Why do you want to go? What class do you want to learn at business school?" Most of the times, in fact, almost every time, people just stop. Just got here, but I know a thing or two. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to remove you. I meant to pin you. You look like Asian Keanu Reeves, says Rick's Mace. I like that, where you're juxtaposing mixed race with race mix. What we're talking about, which is a very Keanu Reeves topic, which is he actually is John Wick. Like his ability to, his ability, his ability to do John Wick stuff. It's unreal how the character morphs. Oh, I used to think that actors weren't studs because it turns out the discipline needed to first learn dance. It turns out what 70, 80, 90% of actors, in order to control their own body, they have to learn how to dance. They have to learn how to emote emotions that come across well on the screen. And that comes from dance performances, dancing. Incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. And then you add the component of memorizing your lines with the method acting, the Chubbuck, the Ivana Chubbuck method of acting. Because yes, thank you for the compliments. Hey, have you tried acting? Oh yeah. Oh, I've tried it. It didn't work out very well for the director. I had a great time. Yeah, it's super, it's super not easy. The Hermit says, yeah, teach me how to hack into the Federal Reserve banks. I used to think that the Federal Reserve was a reserve of federal money. I used to think that. I used to think that Alexander Hamilton started the central bank known as the Federal Reserve. There is nothing federal. There's also nothing in reserve. So the question was posed by the Hermit, which is, hello, genius man. Teach me how to hack into the Federal Reserve. Thanks. This is actually how. There's a 9-page PDF that was published, I want to say October 31, 2008. It absolutely identifies a legal way to hack the Federal Reserve to API call from outside of the house. I used to think that external APIs were what is Larry Chang talking about? But then I delved into it and I was like, hey, these hashtag external APIs are just Mark McCormack, what they don't teach you at Harvard Business School, signature business recipe number 23. How does this apply to hacking the Federal Reserve? We don't want to do the thing where you think going to the bank to go get their money is hacking, because that's what you used to think. You used to think, oh, Larry's going to teach me how to go to the place where they keep all the money. They do not keep money there. There is no reserve. It's not even federal. It's a private corporation owned by banks. So, how do you hack the Federal Reserve? You create a 9-page PDF, which is magical internet money, which is money with rules, but no rulers. That's the 9 pages. Is those are the rules for money. Those are the rules for money. Participate at your level of mathematical competency. I used to think that Bitcoin was a total scam. I used to think it was so stupid. Like, what? You can't just make that up. And then I realized all it is rules for money and then no rulers. That's what it means to be decentralized. What up, fam? I'm broke as hell. Send me money. So, I used to think that the way people asked for money showed where they're going to be money wise. I still think that because it's true. The eloquence in which you ask for money is a direct indication of how much money you're going to have. Kind of like the practice of of kind of like practice. If you're trying to be perfectly, tell me the one sentence I need to do in order to get people to give me money. Oh, pretend to be pathetic. Oh, pretend to really need it, right? Or the practice of trying sales. The practice of attempting to not be perfect. I don't care about money, to be honest. I had I've had millions, lost millions. I still felt miserable when I had a lot of money. Hugs, and I'm sorry that you had to learn about family law via divorce court. What I will say is maybe we should have beginner's mind, and maybe we should change your name from the hermit to ex hermit, because I like you, and if I like you, you're an ex hermit because we're connecting right now. Ha 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 ha. Chinese cowboy. I wasn't begging, just a grad student was throwing a hook out there. Okay, so this is what I used to think. Weak people throw Hail Marys. What's a Hail Mary? It's the first quarter. You barely started life in grad school, yet you're out here throwing Hail Marys because Hail Mary is a mindset. Because I used to think that people who threw Hail Marys, like fat girls at a bar that were swiping right IRL, or not even in the bars, on the street, or randomly throwing vagina, where I'm like, hello, don't throw Hail Marys by saying, hey, what would you say that your relationship status was? Why don't you start off with a compliment? Playing small ball is the opposite of throwing a Hail Mary. A Hail Mary is where you throw the ball as far as you can and you look pathetic and silly. Whereas playing small ball is trying to get to first base. Let's say you're now more philosophically accurate with, hey, I'm poor. This is how you would play small ball. Hey, Larry, I've learned these two things so far. Thank you. That's playing small ball. Because is it gratitude? Is it gratitude?
Taxes are theft.
And taxes are a fact,
The moon landing was fake.
says the non aerospace engineer. I used to think that landing a rocket ass first was impossible. Therefore, the moon landing was real. When people don't think that they can do it, they don't think other people can do it. Because I used to think that rockets taking off were possible. But here's the thing that caused me to be so enthusiastic about collecting counterintuitive truths, because this is what basically this video is an exploration and dipping a toe into counterintuitive truths, things that you wouldn't think to be true that are true. How does this connect back to rockets leaving Earth and man landing on the moon? Hecklefish, who's a special guest. Are you a dolphin?
Listen, people! Listen, people!
Rockets. The nozzle is inverted. What's a nozzle, Larry? A nozzle's like in a garden hose where you constrain the tip and then the water accelerates out because it's a wide channel of water funneled into a nozzle so that way I can squirt out of my hose. That's a nozzle. How does a rocket leave Earth? Thank you. Thank you. You do? This is Hecklefish. This is Hecklefish. Shout out Y-Files. Let's focus here because the moon landing is real. And let's focus for a moment on this counterintuitive truth via my penis hose joke. It's a garden hose. It's it sprays water when you put your thumb over the hole. Nozzle for a rocket, it works the opposite at supersonic speed. The only way that people discovered this is because every rocket that was done with a normal nozzle would crash back to Earth. If you look at attempts to leave the planet in a rocket, the fundamental truth was nozzle principles invert at supersonic speeds. Let me repeat that. Nozzle, the way a nozzle works, at supersonic speed, 661 miles per second, whatever the speed of sound is. The principles for a nozzle invert, meaning the garden hose becomes inverted. So you actually need to have a bigger mouth. So a bigger mouth allows for more acceleration. That's so counterintuitive. That's when I began to love collecting counterintuitive truths. And that's what this video is on. British Ecclesian Italian gentleman says, "How are you?" I'm doing super well. How are you doing? I used to think that Keanu Reeves was an Asian, but then when you see how he spends money and you see how polite he is, you totally understand. Young G Blackdish TV says, "Nice hat." Thank you. Thank you. I got it on Amazon. No affiliate link required. Sell the hat in stores for 200 bucks. I bought on Amazon for $52. The Hermit, which is maybe the ex-hermit, said, "Subbed. I can tell you have a lot of wisdom to impart on us." Wow. I hope to learn from you as well. And I also want to talk about subscribing. How many times have we heard the phrase, please comment, like, and subscribe? Those things don't help. Why? They help me, but they don't help you. What helps you is to realize that Web 2 is broken. Because I used to think that people who begged for subs, likes, and comments were beggars, kind of like throwing a Hail Mary. Yes, 10th time I've mentioned that I don't like Hail Marys. This is the thing that is useful here. Web 2 is broken. You can fix it and profit from it. How? By leaning into My Joke franchise, which is a real thing, which is Web 12. Web 2, that's social media. Commenting, liking, and subscribing barely affects your algorithm. It really barely affects it. The best way to affect your own algorithm is to put pen to paper. Because I used to think that my computer would automatically write notes for me. Does this sound familiar? Yeah, because now people that have AI think for them, they're screwed. I used to think that your computer made you smart. It's the opposite. It's a pen that makes you smart. Where if you take 3 sentences of notes from my effort of this 50-minute video, 50 minutes, if you just write 3 sentences, you're going to be better than 90% of people. You guys wanted to be rich. This is how to do it. Web 12, pen to paper, sum up what you've learned here, 12 sentences, pen to paper. Now, take a picture with your phone and then email me the text notes and the picture. Why? Because now you're doing Web 12. Hey, Larry, I'm totally confused. I thought you were talking about Web 2. Social media is broken. Do you have a web page? Because if you don't have a web page, you can still email me 12 sentences or 3 sentences. Don't have to be perfect. What we now do is we read and immerse ourselves person to person, such as here. And you can think that, oh, it's a Hail Mary, not a Hail Mary. And you can talk about ASU, but Shelby Sapp, master's degree, ASU, also did sales. What are we doing with Web 12? You're just sending 11 to 13 sentences. Web 12 is not 12 sentences, although that's going to be mistaken. What Web 12 is Web 2 and Web 1. Web 1, Web 2. So you email me, let's say, best case scenario, 12 sentences. I load it up onto a web page, and then I write 12 sentences back to you. So that way we have a two-way communication. Web 2 was supposed to be the social web. Web 2 was supposed to be, let's have a conversation. That was the golden age where people would talk and then other people would listen. And then WordPress had a thing called trackbacks. Trackbacks is you write an essay and I write a response essay. Now, the best that we've got is a YouTube troll reaction video. And we've all seen those. Some of them go viral. The best ones that go viral aren't the best ones. They're the ones that heckle the most. They're the ones who are able to control the doom scroll and get into the algorithm so that way we see the popular videos. We're all guilty of evaluating a video based on the number of views. Good job, you guys, for having 2 ears in on this video with sub 450 views over 1 year. 200 of the views came on day of release. Think about that. Sub like like below 400 views. Why is this content unpopular? Because I'm in Web 12. No one else believes in it. Well, maybe not. No one else believes in it because of the people I tell about Web 12, about 70, 80% of the people buy in. Buy in with $0. I don't have a workshop. Buy into Web 12. I don't have a web app. It's just an open source concept. To people's credit, I did just come up with this on July 11. Today is July 26. Well, it's almost July 26. So, what we're doing is listening to each other, but only the people who have brains that aren't massively broken. Only to people that can put pen to paper in the same way that I put pen to paper here. I used to think that taking care of plants was easy. It's easy. I used to think that Sean Cook stole my idea for the dating report. There are no ideas stolen. There are just reimagined and re-DJ'd ideas. Oh. I hope I hope your ASU connects to Shelby Sapp, Masters in Venture Capital at ASU. What is this guy looking at? What is he even talking about? You'll figure it out. LOL, stole your idea. Oh, when you see Lynn asked, is this AI? When you see the dating report and when you see cell phone number underwriting, you're going to be like, OMG, I can't believe Sean Cook is doing the dating report. You open your ass to sources, open source, open source, open source. You open your, oh, I see. Thank you for trying to throw vagina my way. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to put you in timeout because I appreciate you throwing vagina my way. Thank you. Got a call. Got to get a call-in number, my man. Oh, thank you. I actually do. It's right there at the top of my. It's right there at the top. 650-283-8008. It's literally right there at the top on my YouTube profile. It's literally right there. My God, should I take call-ins? T says, you're looking mad cute. Thank you. Lynn, can you explain what that means? Yes, I will explain. So, what what throwing vagina and taking the acceptance of that energy and being thankful. Thankful of a Hail Mary for, hey Larry, I want you to slide in my DMs. And so thank you. And let's focus on counterintuitive truths that we can benefit from. Specifically, social web. When YouTube influencers talk about like, commenting, and subscribing, like, commenting, and subscribing, or hey, welcome to the call in channel. How are you doing? Comment your area code. Comment your area code. Or don't comment your area code. Comment your area code. Taking a live call. From the depths of the sea, the origin of persistence. Thank you for sharing your sexuality. I will put you in timeout. Yeah, yeah. Let's go. Speak. Everybody can. So can Hecklefish. So can Hecklefish.
Would you kindly fetch my tinfoil hat?
Hold on 1 second as I do housekeeping. Hold on, okay? Did you disconnect? What the heck?
See the crab cat. See the crab cat.
LOL can't even get a call. Bahaha. Oh no, that phone number is real. Everyone watched me pick it up. Lynn asked, is this AI? What are we looking at? We're looking at truths that are counterintuitive because we're bullet pointing things I used to think. I used to think that people who drank green tea all the time were old people. Now I think that green tea has L-theanine, which is page 344 of a book that is amazing called Limitless. I used to think that book clubs were nerdy. Book clubs are incredibly useful. I used to think that people who tried to make try to I used to think that I used to think people who read books were nerdy. This is Jim Quick's book. These are my supplemental chapters. Did I write chapters 21 through 27 for him? Yes. Did I get permission from him? No. Did we talk about breaking into the Federal Reserve via 9 pages? 9 pages of a PDF? Yes. Yes. Because the Federal Reserve, it doesn't have very much money in there. October 31, 2008, 9 pages, open source. Open like door opening, source like sourcing, open source. What we're going to do now is connect with a call in. I was doing a little bit of housekeeping and then you left. I was rude? No, no, I said I need to put you on hold for a second to do a bit of housekeeping. So, this is what happens when we open ourselves up, where if you initially lead off with, hey, you did something that wasn't great, because I'm gracious enough to have this as a two-way conversation. as a two-way conversation. But okay, I'll I'll be open to your criticism. What do you got for us? No problem. How are you? Cool. I'm from Silicon Valley. I saw the 808. That's Hawaii. What have you Cool. What what content in the live stream resonated with you most? Nice. Well, it was great hanging out with you, and I enjoy this. I enjoy future interactions, but saying that I'm talking nonsense is a strike two. So let's connect in the future via text message, open to everybody, which is wrapping up our interaction here, which is text me or email me 12 sentences that are a way for you to move forward with things that I used to think that now I'm changing my brain, because you can call me or text me, but if you've got non-positive things to say, such as, "Oh, you're talking nonsense," and the other one that was something else, because that's the bit of housekeeping that I needed to do, which was what? Which was to see your mind frame coming into the bold assertion of, "Oh, yeah, I think making a telephone call into Larry Chang would be a good idea, because you said, "Hey, you should do a call in." And then once you came on the show without revealing your name, because it wasn't that positive. But what is positive here? To realize that we can connect with anybody. We can literally connect with any human right now, but because that's what Web 2 was meant to do. We are literally limitless. We can be completely limitless, yet not we, some of all y'all are trying to limit yourself. Here's some examples of Here's some examples. Hecklefish. Hecklefish. He's from the Y files. I didn't need to get permission to use him. By the way, page 344 is L-theanine, the chemical in green tea. Are we talking about connecting with Matthew Dixon and Brent Iverson, Challenger Sale? We are. Are we talking about John McMahon's book for sales and tech sales? Because I used to think that sales is hard. Tech sales, customer centric selling, page 5, 50, 55, and 65. Bosworth Holland, shout out. I used to think that reading a book to triple your money was silly. Now I think that you're just an idiot if you can't 5x yourself. This is the easiest time to do it. You just learned what Web 12 is. Do I have a workshop? No. Not so, this is it. You want to do a workshop? I'm giving you my IP, my intellectual property. I'm I, Larry Chang, give you 100.0% of the content from this video, which is, you should do a workshop. Do I have a Patreon? No. This is it. This is it. This is you getting all this stuff. This is you getting all this stuff. This is you joining a book club that's on my real cell phone. You guys saw me pick up a call. You saw me pick up the call. Cheers. Melody 808 said, I can't hear the other participant in the conversation. This is the this is the this is the conclusion. We can connect to anybody. Literally, we can be best friends with Jim Quick. We can be best friends with James Nestor. We can be best friends with Joe Dispenza. How? By reading their book and then literally owning them in a positive light versus negative. Doom scroll. For you to get attention, you need to drop some negativity. That's what everybody's doing right now in Web 2. That's not the way to go. The way to go is to play the game on hard mode by reading books, getting slightly better, and staying positive. Because when I took that call, it was starting off with something that was negative. And then it became, okay, well, sorry I was negative. And then it became more negative later. And I'm not saying that I'll never take that person's call again, but I am saying it would really benefit to do 12 sentences of a summary of forcing your brain to say, what did I learn? Maybe the style offends you. Maybe being heterosexual doesn't connect with you. This is a safe space for if you're gay. If you're retarded and gay, this is a safe space because I'm retarded and heterosexual. Are these jokes? No, but it's funny. It's funny because I became the seemingly IQ 500 person in Silicon Valley. Why? Because you asked the question, how do I break into the Federal Reserve or hack the Federal Reserve? And I gave you the answer, book, chapter, verse, October 31, 2008, 9 pages. And look, coincidentally, not a coincidence, chapter 19. And coincidentally, not a coincidence, 1111. Oh, this guy is schizo bipolar for sure. So when you're trying to throw psychological evaluations, you're telling me that you did not read chapters 1 through 13 of Joe Dispenza because schizo is schizophrenia. Bipolar is two psychological conditions that you haphazardly learned where your pineal gland, it's broken. And when you say schizobipolar, thank you for telling me that you're on chemical. You're on a chemically controlled substance that's a pharmaceutical opiate. You can wean yourself off the opiate. This is not financial advice. This is not medical advice. This is pure entertainment because it's chapter 12, your pineal gland. This is financial advice. If you repair your pineal gland, you won't have a broken brain. What's step one? Green tea, page 344, L-theanine. Oh, but Larry, connecting to famous people, like you're name dropping famous people, and I'm not big into name dropping. You could call it name dropping, or you could call it book, chapter, verse. Because remember, who wants you to not succeed? That would be Satan. Who knows the Bible better than most Christian people? The dark angel. Should we wrap this video up with a quick prayer? We shall. Father Lord, thank you for the blessing of being able to connect with fellow believers, future believers, and non believers. Maybe praying is nerdy. Maybe praying is not normally what's done in a live stream. But I think praying here is incredibly useful. Why? Because, Father Lord, we were given brains, and during this time, we became slightly more healthy. Father Lord, please allow other people patience as they don't have a Chinese cowboy as a best friend. Father Lord, thank you also for Mark Batterson and his parents, Don and Bonnie, because I used to think that Christian people who prayed before a baseball game was nerdy and unnecessary. Oh, but then our baseball team, we just kept on winning. And Father Lord, I know that I was the only really, really good D1 baseball player that would ever matriculate into professional baseball. But having a baseball team with one good player makes it impossible to win. But then because we prayed, all the people that were on the team that were not very good became magically slightly better. Who caused that? Bonnie Batterson, who became a great pastor. Mark Batterson, M-A-R-K, Batterson with a B. Oh, Father Lord, I love you, and thank you for the blessing of my hot face. Thank you for the blessing of my perfectly healthy body. Thank you for the blessing of seeing new friends who maybe have never prayed a prayer to Jesus before. Or maybe they were raised Catholic and they were fondled and now they're broken. But they're not broken. They're temporarily broken, and then we just prayed their trauma away. And if they're thinking gay thoughts because they got gayed when they were little, well, we just prayed the gay away, which is forgiveness and moving forward. Because I used to think that people were born gay. Nope, not true. They were traumatized. Father Lord, thank you for YouTube standards, accepting all things comedic, which is what I hope this prayer is for you. Funny. And Father Lord, up in heaven, please tell Augie Garrido and my dog Baxter that I don't miss them because they live between my ears rent free. Because I asked myself, what if Augie Garrido had a computer science degree? I asked myself that. Father Lord, thank you for the mythical character of Satoshi Nakamoto and his 9-page PDF. Who nailed that prayer? Huh? Who nailed that prayer? This guy. No, you pray with your eyes closed, but thank you for being on the other side of the prayer. You'd be Donatello if you were Mutant Ninja Turtle. Turtles. I used to think that turtles were creepy reptiles. Oh no. No, no, no. I'm going to cry telling you this. Seriously, I would look at a turtle and be like, you're ugly and you're slow. You're slow and ugly. and your scaly skin, it kind of scares me a little bit. No, a turtle, especially if he's like 150 years old, it turns into a golden retriever. Let me repeat that. Turtles love humans, and a turtle in the water, it's like a bullet. He's literally a bullet in the water. For how slow he is on land, he makes a golden retriever look lethargic. Like when you see a golden retriever in the water, that's a turtle on land. Let me repeat that. Turtles, they're super fast in the water. Turtles, they're super social. I met a turtle and people were like, you gotta go say hi to the turtle. I'm like, no, it's a turtle. I used to think turtles were ugly. This turtle is cuter than any golden retriever, and I love golden retrievers. I love Australian shepherds. I like big fluffy dogs that are friendly. This turtle is a golden retriever underwater. He plays with you. He fucks around. Like he does the golden retriever thing, which is like, hey, 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 pet my butt. And the girl I was swimming with at the Fairmont on the Big Island was so scared when the turtle hit her with a flipper that she pooed. Let me repeat that. This turtle is so friendly, its head is actually pretty large. Let's call her Jessica to not hide her in anonymity. She got so scared, she shit. She shit in her bikini, and it was one of those little string bikinis. So then she didn't just tinkle, she pooped. And then she goes, oh my God, I was so scared I pooped. She could have hidden it and said, oh my God, I just got scared. But she got really scared and then she shit. I've never experienced so much joy from the golden retriever of the sea. So, Donatello, thank you. Web 12. This video is going to be on semi private mode. If you'd like to get the transcript, you have to go through Gemini. Web 12. It fixes the fact that AI within Web 2 is siloed. What I mean by that is YouTube transcription doesn't portable over to Grok 3, doesn't portable over to Anthropic, doesn't port over to OpenAI. How do you benefit from fixing AI? Massively. Should you make $500,000 from this one video? Yes. If that number intimidates you, try to make $600 from this video. Try to fix your brain by writing down 12 sentences. You don't even have to rewatch it. Just write 12 sentences from what you have experienced in your 3 minutes of ADD. Problem. I used to think that ADD people got programmed to be poor. That's actually the goal of education, is to program robots. You guys thinking that I'm a robot makes me know that you got programmed into not using your brain. 13 sentences, 12 sentences, emailed to larry@duck9.com. What happens after that? We make a snowball in the middle of summertime. We begin to ask better questions, such as Tito, which is asking good questions, which is, hey, if I email you the 12 sentences, are you even going to respond? Yes, Larry at Duck9. And then you write 12 sentences, and I write 12 sentences, and then you establish a goal. Larry, I also want to make $550,000 on YouTube. Okay, that should be easy, but let's say that that scares you. This is what's not scary. Your competition, you have none. There's no defending this. Larry, I just want to buy a workshop. No, I won't sell you a workshop just so that way you can say I don't have $3 for your workshop worth $500,000. I'm not going to do that. Plus, guess who's rich already? Right? How did I get rich? I read 2 books: The Ultimate Credit Handbook, written by Jerry Detweiler. Yes, I ended up doing financial deals with her, and Mark McCormack, What They Don't Teach at Harvard Business School. I also did business deals with him. Does this help me see that every book that's nonfiction, that's self help, every book should yield at least $250,000? Why? Because I will be your study buddy. And if you keep it positive, you will never stop until you get to your goal. Here's another example of a book that is at the library, but let's say you wanted to splurge and spend $3 for the book used. That would be Irv Prospect's book. I used this book to get into Stanford GSB, the Graduate School of Business. Here's another book that I hated because it was about Warren Buffett. Why are the 2 books connected? Because Warren Buffett got into Columbia the same way that I got into Stanford. How? By writing a letter, a positive letter that was like, hey, thank you. Because prior, you heard a call in, and the call in person wasn't thankful. They were combative. Like, I gave you my real cell phone number, and you're going to come into my live stream combative saying that I'm talking nonsense? And I don't think that they're trying to be a jerk. What it was self-sabotage, because they're like, oh my God, I'm actually now talking to Larry Chang. Like, that's actually not that big of a deal, because I talk to everybody. I have limitless time. Why? Because maybe I wrote chapter 21 of a book that is initially chapters 1 through 15, 1 through 14. And then there's an expanded version, which chapter 19 is about using AI. Jim Quick. Is Web 12 using AI? Yes. Are you going to send me 12 sentences? Yes. It was really good to hang out with you.